Hello, I'm Tony Guida. This is My New York. There's a new kid on the city's journalism block, and we've never needed her more. The Village Voice is gone, the Daily News decimated, deep cuts at the Times Metro desk. But now comes The City, a nonprofit digital David looking to take down Goliaths of incompetence, malfeasance, and venality in New York's corridors of power. Jere Hester is editor-in-chief of The City, former editor at the Daily News, former director at CUNY's journalism school, Brooklyn in his blood. You good with that? Jere Hester, good to see you. There's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony, for having me here.
The City is, as I said, brand new kid on the block. Give us the actual address on the web and where people can find it.
Sure. It's thecity.nyc. You can also follow us on Twitter at thecityny, but the website should get you all you need and more.
Okay. Where did this come from, the origin of this new initiative?
So, Tony, as you mentioned, local news scene in New York really has been devastated in recent years by the loss of DNA Info, the loss of the Village Voice, the shrinking in staffs at places. My alma mater, the New York Daily News.
Which is a shell of itself. It's so sad.
Yeah, a lot of great reporters there, and there's still good stories every day, but we don't have the quantity and consistency that we used to have. And that goes to the media world in general, that we've seen this diminution of local journalism. And to a lot of us, local journalism is the most important journalism. It's where civic activity begins. So, you know, after the loss of DNA Info, I guess it was in late 2017, there were folks in the media world, in the business world.
And DNA Info, I should just stop for a moment, was this city-focused, locally focused, online news source. But as I recall, the owner decided when the workers unionized, he said that's enough, right?
He pulled the plug on it, and he also pulled the plug on Gothamist, which he owned. Gothamist has gotten a new life through WNYC, and that for a lot of folks it was a big moment, because they really filled some of the gaps in terms of the neighborhood coverage, the kind that you used to get in the borough sections of the Daily News when there were robust borough sections in the Daily News. So a lot of civic-minded New Yorkers started to come together after this and talk about, you know, what can we do to get local news back to life in New York City. There was a meeting at my other alma mater, which is now the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY, where folks came together. Funders became involved, and over time this grew. I will say that the effort really took off in July when there were these devastating cuts, as you mentioned, at the Daily News, and the project gained new momentum. I became involved in September. Left CUNY in October and set out to hire what I think is an incredible staff of reporters and people who are really dedicated to, again, that local news space. And I think, you know, we're very lucky in New York. We're in the media capital of the country, if not the world. But yet for all the outlets we have, we're not as served as well as we might be with local news. And we see this happening in much deeper ways across the country. And I think it really goes to some of the divide that we're in, that people don't see themselves reflected in the news. They don't see stories that relate to their lives. And this is where we get partisanship, I think. You know, people don't see reporters in their lives. Reporters don't go and cover community board meetings anymore or town board meetings. Again, I think, you know, all news is essentially local, and that's really where it starts.
So the business and civic leaders got together, and this is born, and we could mention some of the foundations, I suppose, and the money they put up. How much are you starting with?
So we have this incredible runway of $8.5 million, and much of that comes from the Revson Foundation, which gave $2.5 million. Also giving $2.5 million was the Leon Levy Foundation. Another $2.5 million came from the Craig Newmark Foundation. Craig Newmark, of course, is the Craig behind Craigslist.
Right.
We have other very generous initial donors, including Richard Ravitch, of course, is one of the princes of the city. And, you know, since this has been announced, we've been talking to a lot of other folks who are interested in funding us, and more coming through, we hope.
So you start with $8.5 million. How do you, and that produced what? How big a newsroom have you been able to hire?
So I've hired 17 journalists. And in addition to those 17 journalists, we have a operation staff of 3 people. So the bulk of our money, our funds are going into reporters and producing stories.
Well, you were once the city editor of the Daily News in, you know, what was its heyday. I've never worked at a newspaper. Tell me, 17, did the Metro, the city desk of the news ever have 17 people on it?
You know, I'll tell you, it's when I was city editor and I worked with the Metro editor, and we had a team of assistant city and Metro editors, and we probably had 50 or 60 reporters covering the city. And, and it wasn't enough then, right? And it, you know, it really puts things in perspective that in some ways we had it better than we thought. But this is where we are now. I can't tell you how many reporters are covering the city for the news these days, but the staff is greatly diminished. Times still has a vibrant Metro staff, but it's not as many people as it was even 10 or 15 years ago. And
the Post, I suppose, has had its share of cutbacks, and Newsday too.
Yeah, it's, you know, folks are suffering all over in a lot of cases. In other cases, there has been investment in the new digital storytelling means. A lot of that investment hasn't necessarily gone into the local news front.
Yeah. So you got 17 reporters. Are you going to be beat oriented? They're going to have beats, or are you going to look at some particular areas that you want to focus on for?
So I should say I hired 17 journalists. That includes other editors, our graphics team, our visual folks, our engagement team. But we've essentially got about a dozen reporters out there. And the way we've divided them up is we've got a handful of folks who are a little bit more in the beginning of their career covering the boroughs. Now, I have no illusion that with 5 or 6 people covering 5 boroughs, 8.5 million people, that we're going to have granular coverage. But they're there to find neighborhood stories that transcend neighborhood. They're there to help us connect the dots on the bigger stories, that we have our finger on the pulse of the city. The other reporters, generally folks who have some more experience, who have covered city hall, city agencies. We have somebody in Albany, those kinds of city agency type beats.
You have somebody in Albany.
Yes.
That, to me, is maybe the most undercovered important beat in this state. You know, where there's so much that goes on in Albany that, I mean, New York City, there's a lot New York City can't do for itself, governing itself, and has to have laws. I mean, the congestion pricing is just one example now that's, you know, being talked about by the governor and the mayor, but, you know, de Blasio and the city council can't do it. They need state legislation. So I'm glad you're covering Albany, because so much happens there.
Absolutely, and you know, look, the Albany press corps, you know, lost folks as well. Still a lot of great reporters, but you know, we're going to do it differently than the Albany Times Union is going to do it, or the Buffalo News is going to do it. And we really need that sense of how is what's happening upstate affect downstate, and for downstate, you know, we're all 5 boroughs all the time.
Yeah. You mentioned some of your competition. You mentioned the Gothamist, which went away when the plug was pulled his back in a combine with WNYC. There's something called Patch. There's citylimits.org. All good things, I suppose, that we have these organizations, but how do you intend to beat them?
Well, you know, and this is a big change for somebody who came out of the tabloid wars, right, with the News and the Post and very cutthroat. but I'm really looking at this as being in a post-competition age. There are more than enough stories that need to be done, that there's plenty for everybody.
Yeah.
And we're coming at it too from the nonprofit news space, like City Limits and some others are. And we're really hoping to make this a model for local news, not only in New York. We would love to see more local news outlets pop up. And some may say, well, there's going to be a competition for funding, and maybe that's true in the short term. But I really do think this is the wave of the future. We've seen it happening elsewhere on the national level and around the country.
Yeah, you've got the Texas Tribune,
Yes.
which has certainly made a name for itself and broken some very big stories. ProPublica is maybe the one that perhaps our audience might know more than any, if they know one of these at all. But ProPublica is a very well
Absolutely.
run organization.
You've got the Marshall Project, you've got Chalkbeat, which covers education, you've got the Hechinger Report, which covers education as well. And there's really a lot of the nonprofit news organizations, I've learned since I've been doing this, really come together, share practices, and everything from editorial to business practices. And you can see there is a small but steady line over the last decade of these news organizations growing, not only in terms of the numbers of news organizations, but in terms of their impact and in terms of the funding that they're drawing. We're at a point where more folks, I think, in the philanthropy world are starting to realize that this is a great place for their money, that, again, that local news is really tied at its core to democracy. And this is, I think, the situation that we're in now.
Well, you've talked about this is nonprofit. You've got the startup money. What keeps it going? Once the $8.5 million runs out.
Yeah. So we're hoping to raise more money on top of that $8.5 million from foundations, from corporations, and we're also going to have a membership model. I want to be clear, we are never going to be behind a paywall. You don't have to pay to get to our content. This is free for everybody. In fact, talking about post-competition, our work, like the Texas Tribune's work, is up there for other news organizations to take. It's really about getting the work out any way we can. But we are hopeful that folks will see us as a place for their dollars, whether they're going to give us $10 a year or
in other
far
words,
more than that.
you will be appealing to people. Say, look, you like what we're doing, you think this is important, write us a check.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, where you see a lot of news organizations and the for-profit going behind the paywall, we're not doing that. In fact, like ProPublica, like Texas Tribune and others, we really want other news organizations, responsible news organizations, to take our work, because it's really about the platform, the megaphone, and getting the stories out there.
You talk about local news being the backbone of democracy. And democracy, or at least this democracy, seems in dire straits these days. And among the perils we face is the attitude towards people like you and reporters, and even people like me, the journalists, whom our president sees fit to call enemies of the people. Right. And I so much about Trump sticks in my throat, but perhaps that above all, that he would use a Hitler, a Stalin phrase to talk about journalism in this country. And so this kind of illustrates the challenges things like the city face.
Yeah, and I think it's a challenge that goes even beyond New York. A lot of this is that in the past, however you measure it, past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, especially in the newspaper world, we have seen the ranks of local reporters and editors just decimated. And when that happens, you don't have the stories where people are going to see their local concerns reflected, whether it's something that happened at a planning board, or whether it was reporting on high school baseball. It used to be that the reporter was somebody in your community. It doesn't mean you always agreed with the reporter or what he or she wrote, but if you ran into them in the supermarket or at the community board meeting, you could go up and talk to that person. They were real to you. Or if you could write a letter, which takes some effort. Picking up the phone, that takes some effort too. And usually there was somebody picking up on the other end. Now it becomes very easy to demonize people, to scapegoat people, just to go on Twitter and fire off something maybe without any human interaction or any real thought behind that there's a human being out there behind that.
Well, the idea, your point about, what's important in local communities binds communities, and maybe when you have the communities kind of working in concert, then we have a nation that works. But when the top man in that nation wants to instill hatred and mistrust of the organizations that are dedicated to, in their best efforts, ferret out truth, ferret out facts, and let people shine lights in corners that need lights shined into.
Yeah, and what we're losing is really that common set of facts, because there's been mistrust and suspicion set upon it from, as you say, the highest levels of government. And also think in terms of what people think of as news, and you see some of the reports from Pew and others where they have quizzes where people are having a hard time distinguishing a statement of fact from a statement of opinion. And I think it's exacerbated from what people see, not only on social media, but even on television, where a lot of what passes at news is basically partisan shouting fests that don't really have to do anything with reporting, and sometimes have very little to do with fact.
Right, and did you ever think in your lifetime you were going to learn that there were something called alternative facts?
Right. Yeah.
It's more Orwellian than George Orwell were around today. He might be scratching his head. Alternative facts? Come on.
And look, sometimes you look to the comedians or look back at the comedians, and Stephen Colbert, a dozen years ago, was talking about truthiness, but he really got to something there where truth has become fungible.
His first year, I remember that, truthiness.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the age of truthiness, something that sounds good because it's been phrased well, perhaps, or something that catches your ear. I don't want to say sounds good as if I approve of it. Mm-hmm. Something that catches your ear. Alternative facts, which our president came up with, is total nonsense, but it catches your ear. You think, wait a minute, what?
And it's designed to cast doubt. And when you're again, it gets you away from that common set of facts, and if somebody's naysaying, and they're doing it from a position of authority, whether they're the President of the United States or somebody on a news network that doesn't have the benefit of reporting out those facts.
You've been around this block. You were city editor of the News. Give us some examples of where digging into local news can make a difference for the citizens of that community.
Absolutely. So you take a look at the incredible work that the Daily News has done over the past 6 years, looking at NYCHA, the New York City Housing Authority.
I was thinking of that.
Right.
I'm glad you mentioned it.
And that's a story that started with the reporter getting a tip about security funds that were going unspent. And it was a good, strong story, moved the needle, made a difference. But this led him to more stories on mold, eventually on other public health hazards, including safety issues, broken elevators, heat and water that goes out, hot water that goes out in the middle of winter. Eventually got him to a lead crisis. And look, NYCHA is 400,000 New Yorkers. Largest public housing
organization in the country.
Absolutely. 400,000 people, that's more than the population of Cleveland or Atlanta, right? And he really moved the needle with those stories, and with a lot of resistance with City Hall saying this wasn't true and then having to come back. So that reporter was Greg Smith, somebody who I worked with in the past and I'm working with again at the city.
You've hired Greg?
We've hired Greg.
Good for you. Yeah. I had NYCHA down here as an example of even a decimated newspaper like the Daily News can do some good work, and NYCHA was the example I had in mind. And now, where have we gotten to? There's a federal monitor.
Federal monitor coming
although
in.
You guys have done some stories about the question, this monitor's background, I guess I could say, some of his associations.
So one of the things that we've done before the site went live was we have this great partnership with New York Magazine.
Right.
And they've been incredible in terms of design help and promotion help. And we were popping stories on their Intelligencer site, including some of Greg's latest work on NYCHA. And, it's not, I think the great thing about good beat reporting is that you're on it for the quote unquote small stories that lead you to the bigger stories. There are ones who come out and do the big story and then that's it. So I think our approach to beats is going to be similar to that we're going to pick the areas that we're going to focus on and we're going to chip away at them, because by chipping away at them is how you get action.
Well, I as you said, the small story that leads to the big story, I don't know, maybe it's not exactly reflective of what you were thinking, but I was thinking Watergate. There was a break-in. Somebody jimmied a door at the Democratic, so a little break-in, and years later, a president has to walk out of office. And I mean, not every little story leads to a story that big, obviously,
but you can imagine if they didn't have those two young cop reporters, checking that out and thinking there was something.
Bernstein and a guy named Woodward.
Something like that. Yeah. I wonder what happened to them.
Yeah, you never know. Never hear from them anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's Jimmy Breslin, one of the great journalists, and may he rest peacefully. If he had a mantra, it was get out there, use your legs, be out there, climb the stairs, he used to say. That's what you guys, I guess, are trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we don't have huge numbers in terms of what staff's used to, but the way we're deploying people, it's really about them being out there. I mentioned we were popping stories on New York Magazine. We were also experimenting with doing stories as Twitter threads and as Instagram stories, anything to get out the news before our site was live. And one of the best tweets that I saw came not from one of our reporters, but from a member of a community up in Yorkville who thanked one of our reporters publicly for being at this meeting about public housing for 5.5 hours. And she was there to almost midnight, to the bitter end. And that's where I think you start to make connections just beyond the stories. When you're out there and you're out there consistently in terms of your physical presence and also the work that you're doing, I think that's where you start to hopefully connect people back to news.
Do you think you can add some punch, for lack of a better word, to this city's transportation issues? I mean, the MTA has so many problems and so many hopes, and is fairly well covered, but I think there's a lot there to be done, and I'm wondering what you think.
Absolutely. In terms of our beat structure, we've been thinking about a lot of things, and there's a lot of intersections of beats, but transportation is the one that connects all New Yorkers. We've been very fortunate that we were able to hire Jose Martinez, who was on the transit beat for New York One for half a dozen years. He's a former colleague of mine from years back at the Daily News. And Jose's broken already, even before we were out of the gate, a couple of great stories. So the day that Hudson Yards opened, Jose had a story about how a couple of the escalators
yeah,
at the Hudson Yards station are among the most unreliable in the city, or at least
Which
in
is,
Manhattan.
which is, you know, you may not think a lot about that, but when you realize the Hudson Yards station is the newest station in the subway system, and the escalators don't work, and you guys on the scene. Everybody else is looking at this giant new city, Hudson Yards, and wow, and being overwhelmed. And you guys are down doing the granular stuff. Hey, wait a minute. When you get here by a lot of people by the 7 train. And by the way, the escalators don't work.
Right. I mean, we're going for things for a street level view, in this case, a below street level view, right? And it really goes to, we want our stories, we want our reporters to reflect the people of the city. And of course, that's a varied mix. But, you know, put ourselves in, look, we're all New Yorkers. We all have to get around. We're all taking the subway, and we all know that, you know, the other day I had to delay a news meeting for a half hour because there were delays on half a dozen lines. These are things that we feel and see and experience every day as New Yorkers ourselves.
Well, Jere Hester, I am glad you're at the helm of the city.nyc, the newest non-profit digital news source that's dedicated to covering this city. Wish you the best of success, and you folks need to follow them and perhaps even support them. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tony.
All right.
Pleasure.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.